Whether you're an ardent fan of the red-caped superhero or a beginner watcher, I'm sure you are now well acquainted with Superman's little world of Metropolis, given the 2025 movie is on its way to becoming a cinematic masterpiece. However, our hero's home is ever sprawling with enemies, but none quite poses a threat as big as Lex Luthor, who has wreaked quite some havoc on the big screen recently. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
You're 5 o'clock.
Copy.
Lex is a brilliant billionaire who thrives on brain power rather than brawn. He has no superpowers or secret identity, but is simply a vengeful, rich brat with an extraordinary aptitude in science and technology, among other things. Luthor has had countless face-offs with Superman, and while he mostly relies on tactical strategies, sometimes he slips into something more dangerous: a mechanized warsuit. Today's video is all about Luthor's advanced armor, which grants him a variety of powers and fuels his obsession to take down Superman and emerge as the supreme savior, further nourishing his god complex. But most importantly, why was a warsuit for Luthor even conceptualized by the artist? Let's begin with that.
I can drill into it, Lex.
Your pride won't be making our choices today, Angela.
Why did DC decide to introduce an advanced suit for Lex Luthor? Back when Lex Luthor made his early appearances as Superman's formidable foe, he was primarily dubbed as a mad scientist who picked fights with the last son of Krypton, and would often also end up in prison just for that. All he had at that time were some cool weapons, and he battled against the hero in simple clothes or prison jumpsuits. However, ever since Luthor's debut in issue 23 of Action Comics, the inker, Paul Cassidy, realized Luthor's appearance was not distinctive enough and could easily be confused with a bald guard, who, for some reason, was heavily featured in that story. Yet no changes were made in Luthor's look till 1974, some 3 decades after his launch. Finally, in issue 282 of Superman, we can see Lex actually designing a jumpsuit to take on Superman, which he loaded with some powerful weapons. Quoting from the comics, Lex was now dressed to kill. Then came the 80s, the power suit era, which turned the fashion world upside down, and somehow DC took a leaf from that book. The company was preparing to launch a toy line with Kenner in 1983, known as the Superpower. Given the economic expansion of the time, DC tried to use some of its great artists to come up with new designs for which they could earn some extra cash from Kenner, while DC could sell freshly designed toys and relaunch the characters in the comics. Okay, why am I blabbering about such intricate business strategies? Because it was during this mission that artist George Perez created a new powerful battle armor for Lex Luthor, and the infamous green-purple warsuit premiered in issue 544 of Action Comics in June 1983. This rendition of the Luthor suit went on to become the most popular one for an entire generation of comic lovers. Check your dad's old toy collection. You might just find a suit-clad Luthor.
Wait, can we talk?
What is Lex Luthor's warsuit, and where did it come from? During the pre-crisis timeline of the Earth 1 continuity, the suit began its journey on an alien planet called Lexor. So, what is this planet, and what was Lex doing there? In some previous storylines, we see Lex, with the help of his robot servant RX-99, use a rocket ship to leave Earth after his yet again failed confrontation with Superman and land on an unknown planet. The genius he was, Lex managed to restore the planet's lost technology and soon became the population's messiah. Consequently, they even named the planet after him, hence the eponym. You'd think Lex would be happy with this newfound clan that worships him, satisfying his need for supremacy. But no, he has to give Superman a hard time back in Metropolis, so his programmed robot continued to attack the city. Luthor, on the other hand, used the foreign Lexorian tech and built himself a high-quality exoskeleton and tested it on the very citizens and infrastructure of Lexor. However, with Superman following him to the planet, the two ended up in a brutal fight, with Lex wearing his new superpowered armor this time around. Sadly, the planet got destroyed in this fight, and it not only eliminated all the Lexorians, but also finished off Luthor's wife and kid. With a fresh grudge against Superman, Lex now vowed to make him bite the dust. In the post-crisis era of the New Earth, John Byrne again brought back the suit in his miniseries, Man of Steel. However, this time, Luthor was not the man wearing it. He was a business tycoon by now, and a white-collar criminal who barely got his own hands dirty anymore. Under the guise of creating space armors for NASA, Lex used his mega corporation, LexCorp, to design a more evolved and sleek version of the suit. He made a prototype and made one of his goons wear it, because he was now too suave to get into the suit himself and fight the Big Blue. However, the untested sample malfunctioned and drove the thug insane. Superman took down the scapegoat in no time, but could do nothing to hold Luthor accountable, who claimed that the suit was stolen and kept on making more of them. Later on, the crime boss, Morgan Edge, made some of his minions steal some of Luthor's war suits. But fortunately, Superman managed to defeat those too. Another version of the suit was again refined with chrome lining and made more durable during the Adventure of Superman Volume 1 storyline of the 1990s. It was now worn by Team Luthor, Lex's private security force, to defend the Lex Tower. However, this wasn't exactly Luthor's battle armor, which actually vanished after 1986. It wasn't until the 2004 reboot that Lex's warsuit made an appearance again. He was now the President of the United States, who possessed an exoskeleton made from a mix of Earthian gadgets with the technology of the hellish, fiery planet of Apocalypse. This suit was even equipped with various types of kryptonite in the gauntlet. However, the color scheme remained the same, with just a bulkier appearance. You can see where this is going, right? This armor made Lex even with Superman, who was now planning to take on both Kal-El and Batman. But obviously, the latter fought brutally before disabling it. Apparently, during the Infinite Crisis of 2005-2006, Superboy Prime of Earth Prime, the dark reflection of Superman, ultimately destroyed the suit.
Venusian catapulted onto this planet just to have the world fawn over.
What power weapons does the Warsuit have? Apologies for beating around the bush about the suits granting the wearer various extraordinary powers, but not quite explaining them. Well, it's time to do so. Better late than never, eh? Let's take the situation where Lex is wearing the armor rather than any of his stooges, just for the fun of it. It gives him superhuman strength, though not enough to be on the same level as Superman at his peak, but he can still manage to overpower the superhero in a weakened state after taking some blows with kryptonite munitions. For others, like Deathstroke or Batman, Lex's suit can easily beat them. Now comes durability, which is basically a given in armors like this. However, despite withstanding various hits from Superman, it can ultimately be destroyed by him. The suit can also help Lex fly with the help of rocket thrusters in the boots. Again, a pretty basic ability. So, what are some unique qualities about this suit? It can create a force field, automatically generated from all over the armor and covers it entirely, including the unprotected parts like the head or torso. Lex, the mastermind, had an energy shield installed in his left gauntlet, and man, that, with the armor's original strength, it could easily make a defensive guard against Superman's inhuman muscle power. Most importantly, the warsuit could even manipulate and project various waves of energy. The suit went through various modifications in the different eras. Starting with the pre-crisis time frame, the suit could emit beams that would cover the Metropolis Marvel in a molecular casing that blocks the sun rays, disabling him from using his superpowers. The suit can also toy with telekinetic energy. Not only can it lift heavyweights with telekinetic rays, but it could absorb the kinetic energy and deflect it on the opponent at a 10 times amplified rate. Surprisingly enough, Lex's warsuit can even deploy mechanisms of hypnotism and illusion, which almost made Superman crazy at one point. It can also trap an attacker in a two-dimensional form and survive in space's void. Lex really put all his brain into this, and obviously made sure no one could operate it except himself by programming a security system. I mean, I understand his possessiveness. A suit that can detect lies, do scientific analysis, and work on the power of the red sun's radiation. Why would he allow anyone else to even remotely come near it? The suit can also go on autopilot and save Lex from falls while recording everything it sees or hears and later broadcasting it to Lex. Somehow, it feels like Jarvis doing a gig in the DC universe. Powers of the Warsuit in the post-crisis era. We already know that during this time, Lex Luthor developed some suits in LexCorp, which messed up the wearer's neural functions. Turns out, the hood of this prototype also gave restricted peripheral vision, with the power back being exposed. However, it allowed the user to make electroblasts and activate the psionic interface. The second one, as I already mentioned, was made using some apocalyptian tech. Consequently, it operated pretty much without any side effects and contained several kryptonite tools, like an axe made of a kryptonite blade, or a spear to use against the vulnerabilities of Kryptonians, primarily Superman. Lex even had kryptonite energy generators literally on his fingertips, which shot different rays from each finger. Green from the right forefinger, blue in the ring finger, red in the middle, and black in the pinky. The blue energy can also be projected from his left gauntlet. This man almost created a rainbow out of kryptonite energy. Other functionalities included an electroblast across the exoskeleton, energy blades, and spikes powered by kryptonite plasma. Basically, Lex Luthor now donned a Kryptonian's worst nightmare. Lex Luthor's Warsuit in the New 52 era. During this timeline, DC made 3 versions of Lex Luthor's war armor. The first suit made some early appearances in Action Comics, Volume 2, Issue 17. This version was created while Lex was in prison by using reverse-engineered Kryptonian tech. But here's the catch: it had a radio-telepathic circuit installed by which Lex could control a huge robot simply with his mind. He used it to protect Superman from Super Doom's threat because, guess what? Luthor was too obnoxious to believe anyone else except him could take the Man of Steel down. However, Super Doom managed to destroy a part of the suit, severing Lex's mind control with it. The arsenal of the suit was sort of restricted, given it was still a prototype, and only consisted of flamethrowers, short-range missiles, and some 50 caliber machine guns. Over time, Luthor's designs became more streamlined and lethal. Luthor's next suit looked heavier and was deliberately merged with LexCorp's satellites, which enabled multiple communications and computation functions. This time, Luthor's suit was revamped in a way that even challenged the brilliant scientist and ally of Superman, Professor Veritas's technologies. But why would Lex suddenly want to interfere with Veritas's science skills? Because the suit was one part of his master plan. Lex had also developed and infected Superman with a virus that can mutate when in contact with a Kryptonian DNA and multiply into some sort of sentient creatures using the citizens of Metropolis as their hosts. Lex's plan was to attack Superman with it and blame him for the outbreak, while he swoops in with his Warsuit and saves the city. He knew Dr. Veritas would come to the superhero's aid after this mutagenic assault and try to curb her powers in helping Superman. I won't give you any spoilers on how the fight ended, but I'm sure you can guess. By the way, coming to the functions of the second suit, it had an arm cannon, electrostatic blasters, and detachable armor components to unveil hidden weapons. The force field quality from the pre-crisis era suit got an upgrade in this one, and had an internalized barrier shield generator to protect Lex from within. Lex could also reshape his force field into forming a spatial cutting blade, which was potent enough to cut through even a Kryptonian's flesh. Oh, also, this one came with a helmet. The third suit of Lex Luthor during the New 52 timeline is an example of a state-of-the-art mechanism. It appeared prominently during the incidents of Forever Evil, Issue 2. Before going into the second installment of this mega event, here's a quick recap of what Forever Evil was and how Lex participated in it. This was the first major crossover line in DC during 2013 to 2014 in the New 52 era, and when the crime syndicate led an attack on the Justice League heroes, Lex formed a group of supervillains, the Injustice League, to oppose the crime syndicate. He even made a grand re-entry in his experimental warsuit to save the city and emerge as the ultimate Good Samaritan. The third suit of Luthor, which was still in the developing stages and still rough on the edges, finally debuted in this part. The event indeed turned out to be fruitful and paved the way for Lex to even join the Justice League in the aftermath of the crisis. As a member of the Justice League, he donned a slightly different version of the suit from what we can see in Forever Evil, which was now more polished and designed for teamwork. However, he always had ulterior motives as a member of the superhero group, because all he ever wanted was to be the god of everyone, manipulating and controlling every being. DC Rebirth, and Lex's brand new suit. During the last stages of the New 52 era, this version of Superman dies in battle. Soon after, DC launched a new timeline, the DC Rebirth. With Superman gone, Lex saw it as a golden opportunity to replace him and finally rise as the new and greatest guardian of Metropolis. His suit during this time was a sight to behold. Luthor now said goodbye to his green and purple armor and sported a blue, bulky warsuit with an S built onto the armor's chest. He even kept Superman's iconic red briefs and the cape as a part of the exoskeleton's design. However, he was soon confronted by the pre-Flashpoint version of Superman, and after a roller coaster ride across various issues, Lex reluctantly lets go of his Superman-themed suit and slips towards a darker, villainous arc. However, Lex cannot go suitless for long. In the following years, he was back in his classical warsuit, but kept on altering it into several variants, like integrating infiltration models, making it heavier for space combat, before finally dropping his Hulkbuster suit in Dark Knight's death metal of 2020. Not only was it huge, but this suit drew power from a black hole, making it extremely strong. In the Infinite Frontier storyline of 2021, Lex appears in two variants of his warsuits, distinguishing his two versions, Lex Luthor of Earth Zero, or Prime Earth as we popularly know it, and Earth 23. The latter one shows up in a blue and violet warsuit, while the former sticks to the OG color scheme. Time for an Easter egg. Lex Luthor happens to have a fourth suit, which can only be spotted rarely in the background of certain Justice League titles, such as in issue 5 of the Justice League United of 2015. Visually, it's the coolest one Lex ever wore. It's extremely modernized and basically comes as a trench coat with an array of gauntlets and some heavy tech glasses. This suit, if you want to call it so, also has an accompanying hover disc. Oh, and by the way, Lex's suit in the Blackest Night story arc of 2009-2010 deserves a special mention. When Luthor was inducted into the Orange Lantern Corps after the power-hungry ring of Larfleeze attached itself to Lex, his armor suddenly got flashy and emitted a bright, an almost blinding orange aura. Luthor now looked like the god of war, and needless to say, the suit's strength was enhanced to a near cosmic level, now infused with the ring's power. Also, can't really deny, Luthor rocked that damn look. What are Lexosuits in the Aerrowverse, and how do they work? The Aerrowverse is basically an American media franchise that revolves around a shared universe of superheroes and interconnected TV shows of various DC characters. Think of it as a shared DC universe or the DC multiverse on television, instead of being in the comic books. Within this Aerrowverse, we have something called the original multiverse and the new multiverse, but their details are a story for another time. Coming back to today's main man, Lex Luthor, he has a couple of suits in both of the multiverse versions. Starting with the original multiverse canon, Lex built new Lexosuits to battle who other than Superman in 2016, but sadly for him, he lost the fight and was imprisoned. However, sometime in 2019, he wore a portable edition of the suit to manipulate Red Daughter, a copy of Supergirl, into killing Supergirl's mother. A model of this Lexosuit has been kept carefully in Lex Luthor's mountain vault, which operates on biometrics. Some other time, we can see Lex's mother, Lillian Luthor, wearing the Lexosuit. Yes, the malicious woman chose the Lexosuit to fight Morgan Edge but failed, and then parts of the suit were picked up by Lex's sister, Lena Luthor, to use in her own duel with Marcy Graves, a former terrorist and Lex's ex-girlfriend. The Lexosuit was now literally a family property. Back from jail, Lex got hold of his suit to fight against the real Supergirl, aka Kara Zor-El. In yet another pivotal moment, Eve Teschmacher, a henchwoman of Lex, enclosed Supergirl in the suit to frame her for the attack on the White House led by Red Daughter, under the guise of Supergirl. In the new multiverse, Lex appeared in the suit along with Nixley in a battle against the Super Friends, a team of metahumans in the fictional region of National City. So what was special about these Lexosuits? Well, it was an epitome of engineering brilliance. The suit could materialize and dematerialize around the wearer, enabling weapon launches when in close combat. It also helped Lex to fly at an amazing speed due to a high-powered turbojet located on its feet and rear side. It could also blast focused green energy, most likely fueled by kryptonite. Lex further modified his suit to include small Claymore satellite technology in the arm cannons, which could convert alien powers into kinetic energy to propel the suit. Apart from these, the kryptonite blades, energy shields, superhuman strength, and durability are a given. The suit could also be remote controlled to imprison a target, unleashing green kryptonite inside. Exactly what they did with the real Supergirl. As I mentioned, it can also operate by itself, possibly by a remote-controlled drone. The Lexo suit can even work as a living creature and attach itself to the wearer without the need for manual assembling.
You're 5 o'clock.
Copy.
Marvelous verdict. Alright, super friends, it's time for a wrap. Lex Luthor and his warsuits are like two sides of a coin. They are basically like two evil twins who are inseparable and only contribute to one another's deterioration. However, dubbing Luthor's suit as just a warmongering object would not be fair. They are an example of incomparable technological genius, and honestly, it's hard not to applaud this madman for his brain power. Thankfully, DC decided to bring in the suit in the Bronze Age for whatever commercial reasons. But ever since, it has been a spectacle to behold, only getting better with each passing timeline. Sadly, we couldn't get a glimpse of his legendary green-purple battle armor in James Gunn's Superman movie, but here's hoping to catch more of this deadly suit in future projects. Let us know in the comments below if you know about any other great Luthor suits that I might have missed. I'll see you in the next one. Later, and if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, be safe, and thanks everyone.